Now, law lecturer Almut Gadow was fired from the Open University, seemingly for raising questions about gender ideology. Managers allege that her so-called unreasonable questions had created an environment that was not inclusive, trans-friendly or respectful. She's now launching a legal case arguing that she's been unfairly dismissed, harassed and discriminated against because she rejects gender ideology and believes in academic freedom. And she joins me now. Welcome. So thanks so much for coming in, Almut. I know you've had a bit of a journey, but it's a really important case. Do you want to give us a quick summary of what happened?
Well, like you say, I was sacked because I questioned requirements to inculcate my students with a gender identity belief as part of teaching criminal law. So, like in so many places around the beginning of the decade, you get this surge in sort of critical social justice all over the place. You get it at the Open University, which then translates into the fact that the EDI department decides that they want to modify all current curriculum, as they put it, to make it anti-racist and intersectional and decolonised and decarbonised and all the currently fashionable ideologies.
Right.
And of course, these are politically contested ideas, but they were then to become the premise of all curriculum, of everything we teach everywhere, where no longer a proposition to discuss, but the premise that you just take as read.
Right.
Sorry.
No. So it was introduced by the diversity, equity and inclusion type people. And so you started, and it was just taken as read. So you started asking questions on the forum? What is it, this forum?
Yes, so this then sort of percolated down. The general missives from the EDI department were then sort of reflected in the fact that the law school where I was teaching decided that they were going to liberate the curriculum. That was going to be the core theme of the new law degree that they started a couple of years ago. And
liberate the curriculum?
Yes, there's a paper somebody wrote liberating the OU law curriculum, and we were told that specific things that we had to cover in tutorials had been included in our teaching materials in order to achieve broader objectives of liberating the curriculum.
It doesn't sound much like a liberation to the layman. It sounds like you're being told what to say.
No, and coming from a country that has seen two totalitarian regimes over the last century, I'm very suspicious of any liberations that take away freedoms rather than giving people freedoms.
Yeah, actually would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned where you come. I mean, your grandfather was sentenced to death under the Nazis for a free speech issue. Is that right?
He was, yes, absolutely. And of course that was after he decided to leave his university or not finish his studies at the official university, but when the official institutions became so compliant. So, whether you look at the Nazis or East Germany, in both cases you have the totalitarian regime that just sort of puts its hand on the steering wheel of all institutions, including universities. And that's not a good thing in a university. Yeah. So in a free country, a free university is there to generate and disseminate knowledge, whereas in a totalitarian country, a captured university is there to generate and disseminate the knowledge that helps the regime and suppress any knowledge or ideas that might in any way question the regime. And of course the frightening thing with ideas like liberating the curriculum is that suddenly we are no longer just there to generate and share knowledge on law. We are there to share knowledge on law insofar as it is conducive with these ideas that the EDI department wants to introduce into all current curriculum. And we are prohibited from covering any ideas that are relevant to our subjects that are not conducive to these ideologies that the EDI department wants to push.
Wow.
And of course, that's what I've been sacked for. So we were supposed to talk about gender as much as possible in our tutorials, but only in the way that is consistent with the ideology that the institution has decided to adopt. And when I said there is also an alternative view, some people do believe in gender identity, other people don't believe in gender identity. Some people believe in God, other people don't believe in God. If you talk about God, you have to mention the fact that some people believe in him and others don't. If you talk about gender identity, you have to talk about the fact that some people believe in it and some people don't.
Okay. And wow, it's shocking. So it's two things. Some things you have to say, some things you're not allowed to say. And by the way, your grandfather escaped, which we should say as well. That's correct, isn't it?
He survived, yes.
He survived,
yes.
But it's shocking that... Go on.
Yeah, he was sentenced to death in absentia, essentially. And biggest Dabo didn't find him before journalists. He surrendered, so he survived.
Yeah, but that's why it meant so much to you. I mean, you should be, obviously it's a good thing to be doing anyway, but that's why you're so passionate about it, perhaps. And also, there's a particular part I wanted to pick up on where you asked them to define their key concepts, such as LGBTQ+, and it became apparent that some treated minor attractions, so-called, as part of the diverse sexualities and gender identities that Open University law now seeks to centre. So minor attraction was something they were trying to promote. Is that right?
Not expressly. I mean, you get a growing body of literature, academic literature, that talks about minor attraction, i.e. paedophilia, as just another kind of gender, just another kind of sexuality. And then on the law module where I was teaching, they set students a task that involved a sexual relationship between an adult and a minor, and students could gain marks for describing adult and minor as each other's boyfriends, but they would have lost marks if they had in any way mentioned that there might be child sexual grooming going on, that the adult might be committing a sexual offence in having a relationship with the minor or anything of that kind.
Wow.
So I just asked the question, when we want to be inclusive of all sexualities, is that inclusive or exclusive of those who now describe themselves as minor attracted?
Yeah.
And management just weren't able to answer that question.
And you ended up being dismissed, and that was back in November, and now you launched this case with the help of the Free Speech Union. So where are you at now with all this?
I mean, the Free Speech Union have been absolutely amazing. I have to say, like a lot of gender critical academics have had to turn to the Free Speech Union. And, well, yes, we've launched the crowdfunder properly a couple of days ago, and it's happily been going really well over the past 2 days. People have donated, I think, £35,000, which just shows how much concern there is out there, and how much support there is. And of course, I'm incredibly grateful for people.
It's a very important case. So where can people find you then?
Well, if they Google my name, Almut Gadow, if you can figure out how to spell that.
ALMUTGADOW. Yeah. And they can find your crowdfunding.
It will probably come up, or if they go to crowdjustice.com and then look at the employment cases, they'll find it there, or if they follow the Free Speech Union on Twitter, they occasionally tweet about my case.
All right. Well, it's a very important case. Thanks so much for coming in, Almut Gadow.